My topic is tipping should be mandatory in restaurants in America. Have you ever worked in a restaurant in America? If you have, I'm sure you know of all the difficulties that come with being in the service industry. If you have not, imagine having to always be a people pleaser no matter how rude or disrespectful someone is. You are always required to smile at people and apologize for something that is not your fault and make sure the customer is always satisfied no matter how annoying they can be. I have worked almost all positions in a restaurant except kitchen and management, and let me tell you, it has not been easy. However, one of the biggest struggles of being in a restaurant is actually when people do not tip. Here is why. Tipping in America is quite common, as I'm sure most of you know. Um, and I know most of you know that servers do make minimum wage. However, since they are tipped employees, their minimum wage is actually less than a non tipped employee. A non tipped employee in Florida is $10 an hour. However, a tipped employee, according to the US Department of Labor, minimum wage for tipped employees is $7.98. Now, some of you may think, oh, that's just a few dollars lower than a non tipped employee. Now, let's calculate how much a tipped employee would make a year with no tips, just minimum wage. So they make $7.98. Um, let's say a full time server works on average about 40 hours a week. So multiply that together, you get $319.28 a week. Monthly, multiply that by 4, representing how many weeks are in a month, and you get about $1,200, $1,200. Multiply that by 12, representing the 12 months in a year, you get about $15,000. Again, some people would think, oh, like that's not bad. You can live off that. You can, but you're just barely making it. Calculate rent, car insurance, gas, phone bill, food, all your electricity, your water, all of that, and then come back and then compare that to the $15,000 a server makes with no tips. According to Irene Tung, waitstaff and bartenders depend on tips for more than half of their earnings, and this Irene Tung is an expert in labor market research. So she states that the median share of hourly earnings that come from tips account for 58.5% of a waitstaff's earnings. Servers rely on these tips to support themselves, their families, pay their bills, etc. However, even though tipping is important, there are still several people who do not tip, whether it's because of simple ignorance. I know in other countries, it's not common to tip, and when they come over here, they don't know that. But most people, it's actually because they believe that tipping is extra money and it's not worth it. Tipping actually increases the quality a customer receives. Servers do a lot of work, and most of them work pretty hard. They take your food order, they get your drinks, answer any food related questions such as allergies or substitutions. They're handling several tables at once. They adapt to the environment of that table. Make sure you are comfortable, enjoy yourself. They even clean tables and run food. When you tip, it makes them feel like their hard work is actually paying off. They know that they are been noticed by people and that they appreciate them. According to economic professor Afur Azar, author of The Economics of Tipping, he has found that tipping can actually improve service quality as well as social welfare. The more and better you tip, the more servers will want to work harder and do their jobs. because they've noticed that people are appreciating them and tip them well when they see that they work harder to get those good tips. Some people argue that there are servers who don't deserve those tips because they do a bad job, they have an attitude, they don't go to their tables, they're rude, they mess up on the order several times. If that is the case, rather than not tip at all, just tip less. It actually, if you don't tip at all, it makes that server just not want to work even less, not want to do their job, because what's the point? They're getting $7 an hour and no tips. And that morality is just going to decrease and decrease and decrease. When you tip, people notice that, servers notice that, and they're like, oh wow, if I work harder, I'll get better tips. If that's not the case for everyone, of course, but that is the majority of them. Um, Secondly, also, would you decrease the pay of a non-tipped employee for not doing their job or not doing their job well? I don't think so. I do not believe the mandatory tipping should be a set percentage, like it should not be set at 18% at all times. I just think there should at least be a minimum of like 10 to 15%, somewhere around that, just so the servers get something if there's those people who do not tip. It also allows wiggle room for the customer. It's not too high where there are some people who feel tipping just not worth it. And it gives them wiggle room. 15% is about average. So if you tip more, it shows that you appreciate and the quality of service was good. If you tip less, then that just shows that the quality of service just was not good. According to Farnoosh Torabi, a financial strategist who wrote, "If you are not tipping, you are not paying attention." She comes up with a solution of simply talking it out rather than not tipping at all. After COVID, a lot of businesses have gone down under, have not been doing well, and have had a lot of employee shortages. Because of this, service isn't always at its best. Though it should be, do try to be understanding. If the service is low, talk to the server, talk to the manager, let them know, hey, this food was undercooked, this service of this server was not good, they had a bad attitude, they never came to our table. Let them know, talk to them. And oftentimes, if you do this, if you're patient and you're kind, you'll get a discount, or they will actually take an item off of your receipt, rather, just for your understanding. Um, Being a server is a lot of work. So imagine you are in a very busy restaurant. You there all the tables are full, and you see the servers and the food runners and the managers just all running around. Imagine you are the server rather than the customer, and you are a student. You have to pay rent, you have to pay car insurance, you have to pay gas, your phone bill, etc. You have all of these bills, you need the money, so of course you're going to work hard, especially if you're in the service industry, because you know tips is how you get your money. You have to smile at all the annoying customers, attend to 6 tables at once, and listen to all of their complaints. It's a lot of work, and let's say you do all of that work only to find that someone does not tip you. And when you see that, and then the next person doesn't tip you, it really makes you wonder, why do all this work if I can't even earn the money to pay all the bills that I have for $7 or less in some states? There will always be that person who is rude, whether they are customer or even the server. Don't be that person who doesn't tip or gives an attitude back. Don't think of tipping as it being extra money. Think of it as already being part of the bill. If everyone tipped, mandatory tipping wouldn't be necessary, or if minimum wage for tipped employees was increased, tipping may not be needed at all unless for the people who genuinely appreciated the service. Um, However, this is not being done. So, tipping in America is how servers, restaurants make a living. It doesn't always have to be 20% or more. If you find that the service was exceptional and you loved it, show your appreciation. If you saw that the service was really bad, tip lower, talk to the manager. Talking to the manager doesn't make you a complainer. It depends on how you do it. Let the manager know, be patient, be kind. Hey, this was not good. Give a low tip, and then that's it. It just shows the employee that, hey, they need to work on it. Your understanding is always appreciated. Tipping, and this is why tipping should be um, required in American restaurants. Thank you so much for listening.